Move your car to the street, Emma. Tyler's Tesla needs the garage space. My dad's voice boomed through the house. I gripped my coffee mug tighter, trying to maintain composure. At 32, I still couldn't believe I was having this conversation. Dad, I've been parking in that garage for 5 years. My spot has always been on the left side, I replied calmly. My mother swooped in, her designer scarf floating behind her. Emma, honey, be reasonable. Your brother's car cost him $95,000. It needs protection from the elements. Your Honda will be fine outside. Of course. Tyler's precious Tesla. Just like Tyler's precious gaming room, my former bedroom. Tyler's precious pool table, taking up half the living room, and Tyler's precious ego, taking up all the remaining space in the house. I looked out the window at the approaching storm clouds. The weather forecast predicted hail. Mom, there's a storm coming. My car needs protection too. Oh please, Tyler interrupted, strolling in with his signature smirk. At 29, my younger brother still acted like the entitled teenager our parents had raised him to be. It's just a Honda Civic. Besides, I pay rent here. That gives me priority. I almost choked on my coffee. You pay rent? Since when? Started last month, he said proudly. $500. That makes me more of a tenant than you. Our mother beamed at him like he just announced he cured cancer. See? Your brother is being responsible. Now be a good girl and move your car. I set my mug down slowly, years of frustration bubbling beneath my calm exterior. They had no idea that 2 years ago, when Grandma Marie was moving to her retirement community, she'd sold me the house. She knew how our parents favored Tyler, how they'd given him everything while expecting me to be the understanding one. I've been paying the property taxes, I said quietly, and the insurance, and the maintenance. Well, that's different, Dad waved dismissively. That's just helping out. Tyler's actually paying rent. I stood up, walking to my home office, the converted pantry they generously allowed me to use while Tyler took over my childhood bedroom. Opening my desk drawer, I pulled out a folder I'd been saving for the right moment. You know what? I said, returning to the kitchen. You're right, paying tenants should get priority. I slid the property deed across the counter. So as the owner of this house, I think I'll keep my garage spot. The silence that followed was deafening. Mom grabbed the deed, her perfectly manicured nails trembling as she read. Dad's face turned an interesting shade of purple. Tyler just stood there, mouth opening and closing like a confused fish. This has to be a mistake, Mom stuttered. Randall would never. Grandma sold me the house 2 years ago, I said calmly. She knew I'd been saving up. She gave me a fair price, and I've been managing it ever since. I just never saw the need to mention it since everyone was so comfortable with the existing arrangements. But, Dad sputtered, why didn't you tell us? I smiled, remembering all the times they dismissed my achievements, minimized my contributions, and prioritized Tyler's whims. I guess I was just being a good girl and not making waves. But now that we're talking about tenant rights. The storm outside was getting closer, thunder rumbling ominously. It felt appropriate somehow. You can't do this, Tyler protested. This is our family home. No, I corrected him, it's my home. And we need to have a serious discussion about new rental agreements. But first, I picked up my car keys. I need to make sure my car is safely parked in my garage. The forecast mentions hail. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. The hailstorm had been brutal, leaving visible dents across Tyler's precious Tesla. He stood in the driveway, practically in tears, while our parents tried to console him. This is your fault, he shouted when he saw me. If you hadn't been so selfish about the garage. I sipped my coffee, watching from the porch. You know, as your landlord, I should mention that tenants are responsible for their own vehicle protection. Landlord? Mom's voice was sharp. Emma, stop this nonsense right now. This is your family. Exactly, I replied, which is why I've spent 2 years quietly paying all the bills, maintaining the property, and never complaining when you gave Tyler my room, my garage space, and basically every other corner of my house. Dad stepped forward, adopting his reasonable tone, the one he always used when trying to manipulate situations. Princess, let's discuss this rationally. Your grandmother clearly didn't understand what she was doing. I have the sales contract, Dad, and Grandma's lawyer as a witness. She knew exactly what she was doing. I pulled out my phone, showing them the text from Grandma from 2 years ago. They'll never appreciate you until you stand up for yourself, sweetheart. Make me proud. Tyler, still frantically examining his car's dents, spun around. This is bull. I've been paying rent. $500 a month for a 5-bedroom house in this neighborhood. I laughed. That wouldn't even cover the property taxes. Want to know what market rate is for a room here? Mom's face paled. She knew exactly what rentals cost in our upscale area. You wouldn't. $2,000 a month is the going rate, I said calmly, plus utilities. That's what other homeowners charge in this neighborhood. I've done my research. $2,000, Tyler sputtered. That's insane. I can't afford that. Then maybe it's time to find your own place, I suggested. I hear there are some nice apartments across town with covered parking. Dad tried a different approach. Emma, honey, you're not really going to charge your own brother market rate, are you? After all we've done for you. That was rich. After all they've done for me, like constantly diminishing my achievements or turning my childhood home into Tyler's personal playground. You're right, Dad. Family is important. So let's talk about how for the past 2 years I've been subsidizing everyone's living expenses. The new water heater last summer, the roof repairs in spring, the property taxes that somehow never got mentioned when you were praising Tyler's measly $500. Mom at least had the grace to look embarrassed. She'd always known about these expenses. She'd just chosen to ignore them, like she ignored anything that didn't fit her perfect family narrative. I've drawn up new rental agreements. I continued pulling papers from my bag. You all have 3 options: pay market rate, find new accommodations, or we can sit down like actual family and have an honest discussion about respect, boundaries, and fair treatment. This is ridiculous, Tyler snapped. Mom, Dad, tell her she can't do this. But our parents were quietly reading the rental agreements, reality finally sinking in. The property laws were on my side, and they knew it. 2 weeks, I said firmly. That's how long you have to decide. In the meantime, Tyler, your Tesla might fit under the carport I had installed on the east side of the house. You know, the one you all called a waste of money last month. As I turned to head inside, Mom caught my arm. Why didn't you ever say anything? About buying the house, about all the expenses. I looked at her, really looked at her, seeing the moment she finally began to understand. Would you have listened, Mom? When have any of you ever really listened to me? The silence that followed spoke volumes. Behind us, Tyler was still ranting about his car. But for the first time, our parents weren't rushing to soothe him. Instead, they were looking at me like they'd never seen me before. I'll be in my office, I said. The real one upstairs, not the pantry. I think it's time I took back my old room. Let me know when you're ready to talk, really talk. As I walked away, I heard Dad mutter. Marie knew exactly what she was doing, didn't she? Yes, Grandma certainly did. And finally, so did I. The next 2 weeks brought changes nobody saw coming. Tyler, faced with the reality of market rate rent, launched into what Mom called his adjustment period. A nicer term for constant tantrums. He slammed doors, made passive-aggressive comments during dinner, and tried rallying relatives to his cause. But something unexpected happened when he called Grandma Marie to complain. Your brother called me in quite a state, Grandma said during our weekly video chat. Wanted me to explain why I betrayed the family by selling you the house. Her eyes twinkled with amusement. I told him it was simple. You were the only one who ever visited me without wanting something. I smiled, remembering our Sunday afternoons together, looking through old photos, sharing stories, and just talking. How did he take that? About as well as your father took it when I reminded him who paid for Tyler's Tesla down payment. She winked. Sometimes the truth hurts, sweetheart. But it's necessary. That revelation sparked the first real family meeting we'd had in years. Mom and Dad sat at the kitchen table, looking uncomfortable as I laid out years of financial records. You gave Tyler $50,000 for his car down payment? I asked Dad, while telling me I needed to learn financial responsibility when I asked for help with my student loans. Mom fidgeted with her coffee cup. We just wanted to support his ambitions. And my ambitions didn't matter. My degree, my career, my contributions to this house. None of that counted as ambition. We thought you were doing fine on your own, Dad admitted. You never seemed to need help. Because you never offered it, I said quietly. You never even asked. The silence that followed was heavy with realization. Outside, I could hear Tyler moving boxes. He'd finally found an apartment across town. We've been terrible parents, haven't we? Mom's voice cracked. Not just about the house, about everything. Dad reached across the table, taking my hand. I keep thinking about all the times you achieved something amazing. Your promotion last year, your community service award, even buying this house, and we barely acknowledged it. But Tyler gets a new job, and we throw a party. Do you know why Grandma sold me the house? I asked. They shook their heads. She said someone needed to see my worth, even if it wasn't my own family. She knew I'd take care of the place, honor its history, make it a real home. Mom wiped away tears. She was right. Look at everything you've done here. The repairs, the improvements, even that carport we criticized. You've taken better care of this house than we ever did. I'd like to take better care of our family too, I said. But things need to change. A week later, we had a different kind of family dinner. Tyler came, having moved into his new apartment and experienced his first taste of real independence. He was quieter now, more thoughtful. My landlord wants first and last month's rent, plus security deposit, he mentioned, pushing his food around. And the covered parking is extra. Welcome to the real world, I said, but without malice. How's the job hunting going? I have an interview tomorrow. Not as prestigious as my last job, but, he paused, it's a start. Mom and Dad stayed in the house. We worked out a reasonable rent that covered their share of expenses. More importantly, we established boundaries. My old room became my home office, the garage remained mine, and family decisions became actual discussions rather than assumptions. You know what's weird? Tyler said one Sunday afternoon, months later, he'd stopped by to help me install new garage shelving. His idea, surprisingly. I hated you at first when you showed us that deed. But now, I think I needed this. I handed him a wrench. Needed what? Reality. Consequences. Growing up, he shrugged. My apartment's tiny and my car's still dented. But I'm figuring things out. On my own, for once. Grandma Mary came to visit that Christmas. She looked around at the changes, not just in the house, but in us. Tyler, more mature and actually contributing to conversations rather than dominating them. Mom and Dad finally seeing me as an adult with achievements worth celebrating. And me, no longer the silent daughter who took everything without complaint. Well done, sweetheart, she whispered, hugging me tight. Sometimes love means standing your ground. Looking around at my family that evening, really looking at them, I saw what standing my ground had achieved. Not just respect for me, but growth for all of us. Tyler was learning independence, Mom and Dad were learning to show love more equally, and I was learning that setting boundaries didn't mean losing family. Sometimes it meant finding them in a better way. You know, Mom said, helping me with dishes later, this house was always meant to be yours. We just didn't see it until you showed us. I smiled, thinking of how a simple property deed had changed everything. Sometimes, I replied, echoing Grandma's wisdom, you have to make people see your worth. And finally, standing in my garage, in my house, with my family finding their way to a better version of